impersonating or enacting the folks that are buried in these graves. And the theme this year is the history of Randleman commerce. So we have manufacturers, we have teachers, we have folks who started mills and whatnot. So if you have one of these, we're going to follow the colors. And there's a color by each name and a flag by a corresponding color. So we'll just head straight down to Billy Brown, please. Great. My partner. This is Billy Brown.
I'm Billy Brown. I was a carpenter on trade.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but you're going to have to really build it if you don't mind.
I'm Billy Brown. I was a carpenter by trade and built many houses on High Point Street. In my early years, I was very young, very sinful, very reckless due to strong drink, unfortunately. I married a sweet, kind young spirit named Maggie, and due to my drinking, I was very unkind to her, and it very hurt me very dearly. But due to my drinking, I came down with disease. I called for a preacher. The preacher would not pray for me in person. He prayed to me from his house because he said I was so mean. So he sent a Reverend J.C. Grayson, and he prayed for me, and that day I believed in Christ and vowed my soul to Jesus and St. Paul Church. 25 years later, I died, unfortunately. But I deeded my own house to St. Paul, which is 2 houses up. 2 houses up.
And it became the parsonage, right?
Yes.
Oh. And that's Miss Ruby Culver's house, the second one up here.
The little white one we can see right here?
Yes, you can see the back of it.
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Peter Clarke, Mason by trade. I was born far from here in Ireland in the year 1834. By 1850, my family moved to America, and where we lived in Brooklyn, New York, and I worked as a mason, or as some call it, a bricklayer. By 1858, I married Mary L. Seaman of Orange, New Jersey, and we had 2 sons. In the year 1862, I joined the Union Army, and in 1863, my leg was severely injured by a cannonball in the Second Battle of Bull Run, also known as the Battle of Manassas. Sometime after these events, I ventured southward. By this time, my wife and I were separated. By a series of internet work and happenstance, I was hired to build the St. Paul Church. My workers and I made and baked the bricks just down there. It takes a good while to make enough bricks to make walls 3 courses thick. So before the church was finished, in 1879, I passed away. My friend had me buried where I now stand. Thank you.
Oh, goodness. My name is John Boehner Randleman. I moved here to Union Factory in July of 1868 from Forsyth County and purchased the Union Factory cotton mill. In September of 1868, I was joined by John H. Furry. After our purchase of the mill, the name was changed to Randleman Manufacturing Company. I had a considerable experience in cotton mill work. I spent time learning at the business at Salem Cotton Factory in Forsyth County. I spent several years at High Falls, Moore County, and at Holtz and Newlands, both in Forsyth County. While at Newlands, I married Julia E. Duke. We had 3 children, Alice, Idia Josephine, and Charles C. In due time, our daughter Alice married my good friend and partner, John H. Furry. In addition to my accomplishments in manufacturing, I count the building of the beautiful new brick St. Paul's Church. Here again, John H. Furry and I were partners. I died before the church was finished.
I'm John H. Free, and I came to Randleman in 1868 to engage in the manufacture of cotton fabric in partnership with John Boehner Randleman. I was also partners with others in building cotton mills in other parts of Randolph County located along the mighty Deep River. Two of the mills I helped establish still stand, one in the area of town known as Naomi and the other down the street from here. The mill now known as Deep River Dye was first called Marie Antoinette after my two daughters, Mary Faree and Julia Antoinette Faree. In addition to my work in manufacturing, I was also involved in broadening the education of young people. I served as director of Greensboro Female College, and I was a trustee of Trinity College in Trinity. I have been informed that Trinity College is now the great University of Duke in Durham, where Trinity was moved. My family and I lived in a beautiful home on nearby Faree Street.
Thank you. I'd like to thank y'all all for coming out today. My name is James Oliver Pickard, and I was born in Orange County in 1844. I lived in Alamance County for some time, where I was associated with Holt Cotton Mills. I eventually moved to Randleman, and when I did, in 1879, I worked with John H. Faree, Amos Gregson, and J.E. Walker, and together we created Naomi Mills, which some of you may know today. I was also, while I lived in Randleman, the director of Randleman Manufacturing Company. Now, in 1868, I married my lovely wife, Margaret Elizabeth Baker, who's buried right beside me, and we had 3 children, James, William, and Annie. My oldest son, James, married Clara Wall, and they lived over there in that blue house down the road that I built for them. I died in 1900, and I was buried here at St. Paul Church, along with a lot of my family.
Thank you. Good job.
My name is James Wright Glenn, better known as Bud. I was born in 1885 and moved to Randleman in the mid-1920s from Stokes County after working tobacco for several years. I was married to Della Mae Young from Stokes County and had 2 sons, William and Wright. Della is buried here beside me. After her death, I married Laura Brookshire, who is also buried here. The building just over there, second one down the street, was built in 1899 as a cotton gin mill. The building originally sat right on that corner, and Cyrus Hughes and I rented it from Jim Lamb in 1925 and opened a store. We called it J.W. Glenn's Grocery. During World War II, I sold the store to Gordon Frazier and Hal Garner, who named it High Point Street Grocery. I took the money from the sale of the store and bought the building from Jim Lamb for $1,800. I think I paid about as much in rent as I did to buy it. I bought the store contents back, but later sold the store to Melvin Brown, who ran it for a short amount of time. Former prisoner of war Giles Lamb returned from Randleman after the end of World War II, and he and I bought the store from Mr. Brown and operated it as co-owners until about 1954, when Giles bought the store from me and ran it with the help of Joe Farlow and James Hanner, who worked part-time while attending college. Giles sold the store in 1955, and it remained closed until my grandson Bill Glenn opened it up and ran it from 1957 to 1959, after which time it closed for good. There was a 5-room apartment in the back of the store, where my son William and his wife May and children lived from 1937 to 1945. Their kids would talk about eating a lot of banana sandwiches.
You know, if the produce wasn't good enough to sell, we had to eat it. Throwing it away would be wasting money, so they ate a lot of banana sandwiches. Bill's sister, Martha Ellen, said they didn't know what peanut butter was until they were grown. Peanut butter didn't go bad, so they never had it on their banana sandwiches. My grandson Bill and I have talked about the good old days riding in the delivery truck. As a teenager, he especially liked to deliver groceries to 429 High Point Street to the Gross family. I could tell that Pretty Sue Gross and Bill were sweet on each other. They ended up marrying in 1953 while Bill was in the Navy. During the war, gasoline was rationed, and we bought a bicycle with a large basket on it to deliver groceries. Martha Ellen's best memory is of riding the bicycle up and down High Point Street when they weren't using it to deliver groceries. One interesting thing about the store building was that it sat on the intersection of High Point Street and Stout Street. The store was catty-cornered and so close to the edge of the intersection, the stop sign was nailed onto the side of the house. Anyone leaving the building would have to look close before stepping out for fear of running over.
After the death of my second wife, I married Vera Seacrest. A few years after my death in 1961, Vera had the building moved from the corner of High Point Street down to where it still sits today, and had apartments built in it that she rented out. Be sure to check out the pictures of the store and my family in the museum after your tour. Thank you folks for stopping by.
Hello, everyone. I am Alice Lassiter. I never engaged in commerce as demanded. I practiced my own commerce at home. I was a typical housewife. Not only was I a housewife, but I was the main provider for my family. I raised a garden and preserved all summer long in order for the family to have adequate food for winter. One year I remember that the seasons were nearly perfect for the growing of vegetables and the garden outdid itself. That summer was to help with my 2 young daughters, Ruby and Ahania. I picked up 500 quarts of vegetables and fruit. That was also the summer that Ruby and Ahania picked enough blackberries to preserve 200 quarts. I do not hold myself to be someone special in the food preserving department, as women all over Randleman were making the same effort to provide for their families. This is more than one way to bring the home, the bacon, and the women knew how to make it happen then and now. Pardon the feminist part.
You go, girl.
Yeah.
And which headstone are you? This one right here. Oh, this one. Oh, okay. Very good. Thank you. Very nice. Very good. Lovely outfit.
Lassiter. Were any of you ever in my 4th grade class at Randleman? She married Joseph Lassiter. They lived on High Point Street, about 6 or 8 houses down, for years. And she taught in elementary school at Randleman. I did. I'm getting my persons mixed up. I was a 4th grade teacher for 54 years at Randleman Elementary School. And after my husband Joe died, I lived with my sister, Floyd, and they had many happy days together in our elder age. I had a son named John, a daughter, Allie Lou, who is not buried here but is buried in Texas, and her husband wanted us to have a marker here because she was such a part of this church. And then we had a child who died at about 2 to 3 years of age of one of the childhood diseases. And because so many children wanted to come by and pay their respects, we actually, as you know, at that time people saw friends in their home. We actually moved the child to the window, the front window, to let children come up and see her without coming in to be exposed to the disease. So thank you for coming. This is the end of the tour, but we want you to step inside and see some pictures from each of these folks and just get to know a little bit about the commerce in Randleman. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.